First 3 years में zero से कहाँ तक पहुँचे?
Very small. So actually, I think that in the first 3 years we started at zero, and I think by the end of the third year we were just doing 5 crores in revenue. The reason I'm saying
It's
just
not nothing.
it's not nothing, but I mean like 5 years later we did 500 crores. So like
Yeah.
like, we went up 100x in just 4-5 years after that.
A chartered accountant working for BCG decides to open a toy business, right? How does that happen?
Yeah, so it is a bit of an unconventional beginning. Every parent in India wants to do what's best for their kid. How can you build formative skills as early as possible in your children? And I felt that there was a white space for a brand that really had a learn through play proposition.
What were the things that you considered and eliminated, and what was that metrics that you used?
Yeah.
That okay, these are the things I'm going to look at before landing on one product.
Rub it.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like.
It's transferred. So the whole idea is that you can create these beautiful decorative.
I mean, the wow was for like how seamless it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
बिल्कुल मेहनत नहीं लगी कुछ नहीं, and it's very good.
Very easy to understand. Very easy. Now एक बार आपने ये किया है ना, you can go on and on and on, right? There I would say there are 3 major buckets. So one is our content team. Basically, these are people who are child psychologists, who have studied a master's in early childhood education, teachers. Their main role is ensuring that all our products are age appropriate, learning outcome appropriate. The second is basically I would say our design team. These are a combination of industrial designers, graphic designers, game designers. And then the last is our development team. So think of these as like hardware log hai. Like they'll be like, when we want to come up with an idea or there is a creative thought, like what are the materials one uses? So for example, these are like live examples of prototype in a very rough stage right now, right? And so this is
like an extreme V1 of it.
Yeah, very,
How do
very
you
well.
take this and convert that into a product?
And we in fact have machines that allow us to build prototypes, everything in the office itself. And so like this is like how our design teams work. Co-founder Dhvanil Sheth drives most of the product design and development at Skillmatics. So
Got it.
I think the part that I enjoy most is playing the games and enjoying all the
Playing with your son.
yeah, and then taking it home and then having my son get excited.
Hello and welcome to Borderless Business. I'm your host Ronak Paul, and today with me I have Dhvanil Sheth, founder of Skillmatics. Hi Dhvanil, thanks a lot for doing this.
Of course, thanks for having me, Ronak.
I think we should both first thank our mutual friend who got us together. Bala, if you're watching this, thanks a lot for connecting us. And I think since the last 2 months, we've just been chatting on and off on policy things, on how toy sector has been doing, how you have grown your business. So I'm so glad that we get this opportunity to sit down with you and go through the entire journey of Skillmatics, right when it was Graspers Global to now. So thanks a lot for doing this.
Of course.
Let's start at the top, right? Toys, such an interesting category. A chartered accountant working for BCG decides to open a toy business, right? How does that happen?
Yeah, so it is a bit of an unconventional beginning. Yeah. So I was, like you mentioned, I studied CA, post my chartered accountancy, I typical path, joined a large company. I joined BCG, which was a fantastic place to really start my career. And through BCG, I was doing a lot of consulting with consumer and retail oriented companies. And they had this program called the Associate Abroad program, which led me to the US and Canada. So I started in the Mumbai office, but eventually moved to the US and Canada. So I was actually based out of Toronto for the most part. And a lot of the work at the time, this was 2015, 2016, so almost a decade ago at this point. A lot of the work we were doing was helping retailers think about like how the retail landscape is going to shift with e-commerce like gaining more penetration. Now keep in mind that it wasn't that like e-commerce was new in 2015 or 16, but I think retailers were starting to really think through like what would a nuanced strategy look like, right? How would, like, it's very easy to say that okay, online is coming, set up a e-commerce website for your retail store. But a more nuanced answer would be that okay, how would consumer behavior change by category? Which categories are more likely to be, moving online? What changes in that, experience? Why do consumers move? So for almost over a year, I was doing a lot of such work. And one thing that really struck me was that the barriers to reaching consumers had been completely it was completely democratized because of technology, right? So, whether you're a new age brand or a brand outside even a market, your ability to reach consumers through digital platforms, right? So whether it's like marketing through social media like Facebook or Instagram, now TikTok, or even doing e-commerce through like Amazon, your own Shopify store, whatever it may be. It was really eye-opening, and I think the opportunity that I saw is that if you could build a consumer brand with a very global first mindset, the world is really your oyster. And if you could especially do it in a category where India has some structural advantages, a very large global consumer business could be built out of India, and that was really the idea. And so I think with that I started to look really closely at like what kind of consumer categories make sense. The toy industry is actually a very large industry globally. It's I think almost 120 billion now, and it's a fairly fragmented market as well. And it was the kind of industry where it was very obvious that it was going to move online in a very dramatic way. By moving online, I don't mean that it will only be online. It'll always have a split, but it was quite clear that consumers would rapidly move online because there are several parts of the, I would say, experience that make it better online. For example, you get a lot more information about your product, right? You are able to provide content about what the products do. You can demonstrate them in action. These things matter a lot in this industry for a consumer to buy or not buy a particular product. Two, you're able to get validation of other parents. So parents love to buy products that other parents have also vetted. Now in an online environment with reviews and social media following, you can really vet a brand or a product very easily. And so I was like, this is a great category, right? It's a category that's going to move online in a big way. And I felt that one thing that was missing is that a lot of the legacy or incumbent brands had built very play-oriented brands where like the sort of core proposition was one of play alone. And I felt that, obviously coming from India, we value education very deeply. Every parent in India wants to do what's best for their kid. How can you, build, formative skills as early as possible in your children. And I felt that there was a white space for a brand that really had a learn through play proposition where while obviously making really engaging and fun products for families and children, but if you could build products that were rooted in skill orientation, building core formative skills, reinforcing key learning outcomes, I thought that was a huge opportunity globally. And obviously you combine that with a very technology first business model. I think that was really how I started to think about it, and that's how came back and decided to start Skillmatics.
Got it. And but before we go deeper into toys, what are some of the ideas you said you scrapped? Because whenever someone thinks consumer first, India, people think Ayurveda, people think handicrafts, rugs, stuff like this, right? So what were the things that you considered and eliminated, and what was that metrics that you used? That okay, these are the things I'm going to look at before landing on one product that I want to decide.
No, I think all fair points, right? And I did think quite deeply of it, but there were two lenses, right? The first was also I would say the first part was like from a more category perspective. I think our vision from the beginning, which is why we called the company Grasper Global, was we really wanted to build global brands from India. And while all of these categories have a very strong India advantage or an India heritage, we didn't want the brand to just be associated with India. Right? So while India could have structural advantage from a business model perspective, we wanted the brand to be a truly global brand, right? Which is not necessarily tied to a country. So like, for example, in the toy industry, like Lego is probably the most iconic brand, but you don't typically associate it with Denmark, right? While it is obviously, that's the origin.
If I was to ask a common man on
they
the
would
street,
probably
no
not
one would
know.
have any idea.
Correct. And so that was kind of the thinking that why can't we have like a truly global brand that has its roots in India, but not necessarily just tied to India, like from a from a sort of a perspective of like Ayurveda or anything else. So that was one part of it. The second part of it is also, as a founding team, me, my co-founder, all of us were really passionate about the education space. So some of it was also, I guess, at that stage in the business, while what I described is a very analytical approach. At some level, you're taking a gut instinct of also where you're passionate, right? And we felt that this was a beautiful way to blend education and consumer into like sort of an education first brand.
Got it.
And so that was something that also kind of just like spoke to us. And I think that was one of the reasons where we picked this. I think the other thing we wanted to also to speak to your point is we wanted to pick a category also that did not necessarily require a lot of customer education and market education.
Got it.
Right, like as a startup, we started with like very little, close to no money.
Yeah.
Right, our ability to educate a global audience about like say something which is very unique to India, while there may be some level of knowledge, would require substantial investments in marketing, right? And we just felt that like selling into a category that's already growing, has a lot of consumption with a very differentiated proposition would be way more capital efficient. And so that was again another aspect to it. But I think as we look at the evolution of our business, I think the idea would be to build more brands in adjacent segments, but always where there is an India advantage.
Got it. And what would these adjacent segments look like?
So like you mentioned, I think India has got so many strong sectors where world class in manufacturing in many categories. I know it's very easy to say that India lags China, and that's like the official point, but I think that's looking at it from a very negative lens. For example, like in India has world class textile manufacturing, right? There's so many consumer categories that can be built out of that, right? For example, we most recently started a brand. We haven't yet launched in the US yet, but we've launched in India. It's called Nintara Baby, where we're building these beautiful baby essentials like swaddles and hooded towels and like bibs and burp cloths, all 100% organic cotton, all made here in India. And we think that there's substantially better quality than what you typically would find even in markets like the US. And so that's just an example, again, selling into a similar, solving a parent's need, right? So we're selling to our same sort of target audience with a different brand proposition. But that's just one example. I think that over time there could be many.
Got it. And the other thing is, you wanted to do something in the education space, but you did not take the technology route. You took the product manufacturing sort of physical product route, right? And I remember 2015-16 edtech was all the hype, right? So how did you decide like edtech nahi karenge, ye karenge?
Great question. I think we never really thought digital first in the sense of like the product delivery itself. I think both me and Devanshi come from sort of family backgrounds which have had some experience in manufacturing. And so that maybe was a factor where we felt that like, we understand manufacturing. India is always going to have a strong structural advantage in manufacturing, with labor costs in India being lower than China over the longer term. So we always did think physical product. But then when we narrowed into this category, I think the answer became very, very obvious, because the biggest pain point that we saw was that parents don't want another digital device or a digital product for their children. And one of the things that even in the very early stages when we were discussing it, and I'm a parent right now, I wasn't at the time, but like I think one of the biggest problems that I have and I always want to solve for is how do I limit digital device exposure for my son? Right. And I remember even when I started the business, I spoke to cousins. We ran a 1,000-member consumer survey. It was clearly a very, very pertinent problem for parents, right? Where actually what they wanted were engaging alternatives that keep their kids off screens, right? So, and again, keep in mind we're talking about young children, right? So, it's also that was really the pain point that we were trying to solve for, right? Saying that if we are able to create a brand that makes high quality products that help your children learn through play, they're fun, they're skill building, and they're so engaging that you don't have to give your child the phone, right, for prolonged periods of time. We felt that brand proposition had a lot of relevance in today's world with millennial parents and below, right? Because at least in historical the generations prior to that, like we didn't grow up with technology, right? Like we started getting exposed to technology much later in our lives, and so I think I got my first phone as post becoming an adult, right? And so it's a very different landscape for children, and therefore. We really felt that the right solution was one which was non-digital, and so that's kind of how we thought through it, and that's why Skillmatics basically makes physical products today.
So once you started, right, एक बार decide कर लिया कि toys में करना है, कितना time लगा ये समझने में कि this idea doesn't just make sense on paper, it actually makes sense in practice?
So I think basic idea we had a lot of confidence would work, right? Because as I said, I'd done a lot of research on both the market structure, the need, the differentiation of our brand, or also speaking to so many consumers. When I say consumers, I mean parents. We knew that this proposition had a lot of legs. I think initially
you did these surveys in India or globally?
Globally, हमने दोनों किया. Like we did US में भी एक किया, India में भी एक किया.
और फिर US वाला कैसे? You got some agency to help you with
No,
this?
not really. What we had done is we had there are a lot of these platforms that you can give a small incentive and people are happy to take part in surveys.
Oh.
I forget the one we used at that time, but we had just designed a very simple survey, or thoda investment से we were able to get the data that we wanted.
Got it. And this was after you had already left your BCG job?
Yes.
Achha. So you
did my research. So I came back, मैंने job छोड़ दिया, and I was for the first 1 year I was still like figuring out some of these parts, right? And what was very amazing was that the consumers, while very different in many ways, are very similar in many ways. Like parents anywhere in the world actually have very similar desires when it comes to their children, and very similar pain points. And in fact, in all of that research, we realized that this actually truly global opportunity hai, because children at 3 years are very similar all across the world in terms of their development, in terms of the core skills they develop, in terms of the learning outcomes they are learning. So it's actually it's a very homogeneous market in a way, as opposed to sometimes let's say food and beverage, right? There is a lot of taste preference, in India is different, US may be different, and so on. So that was actually validated. I think जो मुश्किल था was like getting anybody to believe that this is going to work. So today when you start a startup, I think obviously the market is expanded, but you're able to gain backing from investors at a very early stage, sometimes even on a presentation or an idea stage. But at that time, no one was really thinking कि भाई हम India से global brand बनाने वाले हैं. Like it was an alien concept. No one was even considering it really, because most people at that time were trying to build consumer brands and D2C brands for India. Right. अभी हाँ ज़्यादा. And I think a lot of the support was around this, right? Because this was a sort of an idea that had not been, there was no playbook. So I think that was really difficult, because on one hand, to start a business, we were a startup, we needed some capital, we were unable to get that. In fact, first 3 years we were forcibly bootstrapped. There was nobody कोई back, like
कोई पैसा लगा ही नहीं रहा.
It is trying multiple times. So but in a way it worked out, because of that we had a very capital efficient mindset, and we had to be profitable. वरना मतलब option ही नहीं था, बंद ही. So I think that was I think that was tough in the first 3 years.
First 3 years में zero से कहाँ तक पहुँचे?
Very small. So actually I think that in the first 3 years we started at zero, and I think by the end of the third year we were just doing 5 crores in revenue. I mean, the reason I'm saying
it's
just
not nothing.
It's not nothing, but I mean, like 5 years later we did 500 crores. So like like, we went up 100x in just 4-5 years after that. But at the time it was not nothing, but it was still not what we had sort of envisioned, right? We were always from day one wanted to build a much larger business. The other challenge that we faced was that even when we developed our products, हमें बहुत confidence था कि parents love this because we spoke to parents, they loved the products. But when we tried to go global, that time the traditional route was that you went to these trade fairs, you know, and you know, you go, you set up a booth, booth में लोग आते हैं, you exhibit, but no one was really willing to take us seriously. एक तो we were from India, which was not sort of known in this toy industry as compared to say China. The second piece was we were young, right? We had like one range of products. So
पहला प्रोडक्ट क्या था?
वो हमारे right and wipe mats थे. They're not here, but it's still one of our best selling products.
Okay.
It was a whole product to help children learn how to write.
Okay.
And it was a repeatable, usable activity. But you know, the product was great, but you know, there was no proof of concept. I don't blame them to some degree because we're a small company, and so we were unable to kind of even get traction. Right? We had some traction, which is why we had got to those numbers. But then I think 2018-19, around that time is when we onboarded into this online selling program that Amazon had. Right? And we started to sell online in the US on our website, also on Amazon. And we kind of went directly to the consumers, which was what was my original idea also, that you know we were able. But at that time, a lot of pieces were not in place, like the payment infrastructure, the logistics infrastructure. So it was not as easy to start that business.
ये 2017-18 की बात है.
Yeah, 18-19 started getting easier, and that's when we managed to really get onto it. Or फिर like within 30 days, we did some really like I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think if we did more in 30 days than we had done in the last 300 days. ऐसा कुछ था, like you know कि and we were like shit, ये तो it's on this is clearly proof that consumers are loving what they're getting. And that's when we started to get momentum. उसके बाद you know, we were able to then take that proof of concept, then go to investors and say that look at the reaction from end consumers. And then we were fortunate to get, you know, Sequoia Capital, now Peak 15, to back us then. And then, you know, from there that you can say the rest is kind of history, and we've grown, you know, significantly from there. But the first, I would say 3 years was very, very difficult.
And first 3 years में कितनी बड़ी team थी? It was you, your co-founder?
No, there were maybe, I think, it started growing, but I think at maybe like 20 people.
20 people. And now you are?
Now we're over 300.
Wow.
Yeah, across the US. We have 2 offices in America now, with you know local teams there. We have an office in the UK, and we have you know where we're sitting now in our Mumbai office.
Nice. And then तो starting का ये भी थोड़ा discuss करते हैं कि manufacturing कौन कर रहा था?
Correct. So हमारे product में there are 2-3 parts to it, right? So we make card games, educational games, art and craft activities. Now there are 2 parts to the design of the product. एक तो is the content and the gameplay and the design element. कि you know what is the concept or the IP that you are developing, which is going to add that engagement value. And the second part of it is the actual manufacturing, which is like let's take a card game, like you know what you print on the card is one piece, and very important, and then actual printing and packaging of the thing.
Yes.
We were very clear that we wanted to be a product company from day one, right? We wanted to really own the core IP. So our initial team was focused very much on that part of it. So we had a teacher. In fact, the very first person who joined our team was an educationalist.
Oh, interesting.
So without even getting a designer, salesperson, nothing, the first person we got was an educationalist. Literally the first person who joined. And we wanted to make sure that the products जो हम बनाने वाले थे is in line with like global curriculums, is truly learning oriented, and for that you had to actually include that, I would say, perspective at the product design stage itself. So that's how we started. We had a very small team, about 20 people, and most of the team was focused on product design and development, what would be the IP, what would be the gameplay, what would be the designs that we have, if there was any tooling, the design of those things. And what we did is we worked with contract manufacturers on the actual manufacturing piece.
And they were all based in India?
Yes. And we found at that time they were not as many manufacturers, but initially most of our products were print based. And one advantage we had coming in is that both my co-founder and my family business have historically been in the printing and packaging industry.
Interesting.
So we had that one, I would say at least some supply chain understanding and capability to help get the initial set of products off the ground. So initially we kind of outsourced to a sister concern, but then eventually it's now we have like many suppliers.
Got it. And then when you were looking at this space, right, the education, STEM, India advantage, etc., कोई gaps दिखे जो आप starting में cater करना चाह रहे थे?
I think major gap जो था वो brand proposition का gap था. That you know, can you have a learn through play kind of education first brand positioning, which I think was a gap in the global market. Now it's important to understand ये क्यों था, because see historically this industry, most of the brands that even operate today have all been there for decades, 50 years, 70 years, 100 years, yeah. Now the way the industry evolved is that most of the products were, originally the industry was completely offline, right? So there was no online. And तो क्या था that all the brands that were built were all designed for that environment. Means they were all play oriented, because now if you take your child into a toy store, what is likely to happen? The child will say, I want a doll, or I want a car, I want a gun. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But the child really drove the purchase, right? And sort of what they wanted. While that's true today as well, but as this market moves more and more online, what you see is that the parent is also now a consumer, right? Because the parent, the grandparent, the uncle and the aunt. And so like, you know, that proposition of like who is building a brand for them, which is, you know, solving their needs, like keeping their kids off phones, helping them build core skills, but also fun for the children, obviously, right? Otherwise, you know, you can't run a toy company. But you know, that in my mind was the big gap that I felt, that, you know, this is a gap, this is where the market is changing. If you go with this brand proposition on an online first go-to-market strategy, I think, you know, it is a big missing gap in the market, I felt. The second gap I felt was that a lot of the products in this industry historically were very plastic molded products. Even the products that were somewhat educational, they were all plastic molded toys, simply put, you know, to use a broad classification, which is, I felt there was not many education oriented brands that were very content first. So where the real value you're adding is through the content. And I felt that, you know, India with its structural advantages of English, English teachers, understanding of, you know, our curriculums are sort of fairly global in nature, and great design talent. I felt using content as an advantage into your product was a differentiation that was not widely prevalent in the market at the time. So these were really the legs on which we kind of thought gap tha, and how we could go about addressing it.
And one thing that you initially mentioned, right, कि you are going to all of these trade fairs and no one's giving you any time of the day, right? But the moment you go direct to consumer, the product is speaking for itself, right? दो तीन ऐसी क्या चीज़ है जो आपने की, I mean other than sort of going D2C, जिससे brand में trust build होना शुरू हुआ?
So I think building trust in a brand is like a never-ending journey, right? I don't think even the biggest brands in the world today have to constantly invest in this process.
Hard or easily lost?
That's a great summary of it. I think in the earlier days, we didn't have money to do marketing and all of that, right? So the way we thought of building brand was building amazing products. Because the simple way to think of it was that if people enjoy our product, they will buy more Skillmatics products, and they will tell other parents about Skillmatics, and they'll gift Skillmatics, right? And there is a certain network effect that can kick in. So we said the best marketing tool is really if we invest in making amazing products, right? And I think that was, I would say, the complete focus from day one, and even today I feel that's where our main focus is. Like even today, like even at, you know, now over 500 crores in revenue, our brand marketing budget is like low single digit percentage of our revenue.
Oh.
Right? We do spend on performance marketing, but you know the traditional TV and brand marketing is very limited because we found that focusing on the product is the best way to build brand. And when I say product, it's not just product design; it's also branding, communication, like how you design your products, the names of those products. So we put in a lot of effort onto the product marketing part of it as well to build trust. And we felt that if we are able to deliver that consistently, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 product, you've had a good experience, then that will compound and that will help build trust.
Got it.
Right. So that was what we did in the very, very early days. The second thing we realized is, look, as a younger company, and we're still a very young company, as you gain more credibility and you give a good product, it's that is a network, like kind of a flywheel effect, right? Online, agar you've done good products, you'll end up with a good social media presence. People will follow you. Like we've now got, I don't even know, well over 500,000 followers, or maybe even 1 million followers across all our platforms globally. All of that has been organically built over many, many years. But there's a kind of flywheel effect. Similarly, our reviews, right? Online, there are so many reviews on all these marketplaces. Now I think we're well over 500,000 reviews.
Wow.
And so what we found was that, like, great product means good reviews, good social word of mouth, and then that keeps compounding over a period of time, and that ends up building a lot of trust. Now today, if you like buy our Guess and 10 game on the US, it's got 30,000 reviews or something like that, right? So, like obviously that's built up, but that's built out over time. But even in the early days, even if you had 100 reviews, what are those ratings? What is the average rating? So, I think those were like the early trust building initiatives. As we got a little bigger, we also started doing partnerships. So doing brand collabs with other like-minded brands. In some cases, partnering with larger organizations also added a lot of credibility to us. So for example, you see a Guess and 10 Harry Potter there. Like, we've done partnerships with like Harry Potter, Disney, Marvel, many other larger licensors. Just to kind of, add variance to our core product lines. And that again adds trust in the mind of the consumer, right? Because these people won't partner with brands who don't have very strong products which are doing well. And then again, I would say most recently, I think also building a very strong offline presence, and we're very early in our journey, also helps build brand and credibility, right? Today we are now, I think, present in almost 30,000 stores globally, from Walmart in the US to Hamleys in India. And I feel again that also has gone a long way in building that brand trust. But again, if I had to sum it up, I think the most important thing early on for us was just consistency in product experience, like a good product and more good products, and then also consistency in terms of that experience with the brand is really what we focused on.
Got it. And you alluded to something that I was going to come to next, right? Early on, you're bootstrap, limited capital. So capital allocation becomes extremely important, right? तभी how are you deciding कि performance marketing में कितना जाएगा, product development में कितना जाएगा, salary और rent में कितना जाएगा, right? How are you thinking about these things?
Yeah, I think it's look, capital allocation is even important today. It was always important, right? But I feel early on, I think in some ways it's simpler. Because you can only put money on the most high priority thing. So like where's the question of like 3 or 4 options? Allocation ke liye you need to have money and like different things to put money on. So I never thought of the problem as much of a capital allocation problem in the first few years, because like there was no capital to allocate. But so I think also what that makes you realize is you focus on the things that will give you a direct and quick ROI. So for example, in the early days, what we invested in was building a good product. So investment in the product, that also it means investment in team. So agar 10 log hai, 5 log product mein hona chahiye, because they are the people who will make the great product, right? So that dictates your allocation of even your team for that matter, right? So very product centric investments early on. And then even on the marketing front, right? We spent a lot of the initial money on performance marketing, because performance marketing you get a very clear direct ROI, right? And
कितना डाला, कितना बिका, कितना
and मतलब daily you get a report card, right? कि भाई ये हुआ था, and you know exactly if you made or lost money at the end of the day or the start of the next day. And so that actually became easy operation to run, because you know that I need to operate. And also at that time, I don't know if this still happens, but back time they had this whole CAC, LTV concept in direct to consumer brands that, you know, you can lose money on the CAC, but then there's retention and all of that. We were like, boss, ye hum kar hi nahi sakte because like we don't have the money only to do this loss making on the first order. So it was a very simple phenomena for us, is that we had to make a profit on the first transaction. That was really
PAT positive चलना है.
yeah, I have no option only, because you know, without that free flow of cash, how will I buy more inventory? It was a continuous problem. And so in the early days, that was the way we thought about it. Keep two simple things: keep investing on the product side, and invest in very smart performance marketing that gives you an ROI immediately. Also keep in mind, I think 2017, 2018, in the early years, the market has only gotten more competitive over time.
Yeah.
Right. So those were the first. I'm talking from the India market perspective. US though was always there, but in India the first wave of, I think, direct to consumer or online first brands all started around that period, say 2015 to 2018. Some have gone public, some are going public. They and benefited in a lot of ways also, right? Lesser competition, CPMs were lower, and that kind of we all benefited from that early on.
Got it. And so पहले 3 साल struggle किया, फिर बाद में slowly you started making money and things have gone up, right? Once things started getting better, was there like a turbulent time, maybe COVID, post-COVID?
I think that it's every year is like, I feel it's a turbulent time, but I know when you run a more the challenges of running a global business is that you're prone to more shocks, right? Because there is a larger surface area for random things to affect you.
तो latest shock क्या चल रहा है?
I think the tariff shock is well documented, but I mean it's been continuous. Like, see, from 2020, COVID was obviously you know, something that affected us from there. Overnight, you know, while demand had skyrocketed because log ghar pe the, in fact it was great from that perspective. Negative was that, you know, factories had to shut down in India, right? We had to transition. There was a lot of supply constraints.
So what did you do? How did you deal with that?
It was complicated. I think what we did was obviously we worked very, very hard to ensure we could create enough production to meet demand. We worked very closely with all our contract manufacturers. I think there was an initial period तो पूरा बंद हो गया था, but luckily we had running stock, right?
हाँ, तो थोड़ा inventory था.
Yeah, so we were able to survive कि भाई चलते हैं. And what we did is, because we realized कि production may not come back in time, we just stopped marketing or put very little money in marketing. So we made more profits during that period. But then on the other side, you know, we had our offline business which went to zero. Like in India, for example, we sell in like 3,000, 4,000 stores now. Even that time it was several thousand.
ये किसके through है?
General trade, distributor के through, Hamleys, Crossword, others, Reliance, Smart Bazaar. इतने नहीं थे, I think, at that time, but the point was that all of that went to zero.
तो उस inventory का क्या किया?
We had no option, but we just waited. We had to wait it out. So there were issues, right? Part of the business was booming. Part of the business, you know, we were completely stuck, and you know, we had to support. You know, in fact, that time we didn't lay off a single person in COVID as an organization. Whether
and
it's
during COVID, you would go like 150, 200 people by then?
No, I think we were sub 100.
Sub 100.
Yeah, but I think continuity was the core focus. That how do you ensure continuity of operations and no disruptions in terms of like having to take any, like you have to support your team and your people at that time also. So dealing with that was obviously, you know, we had to all move to work from. I think every organization went through this. So that was definitely a challenging time. And then after that, what happened? There was supply chain chaos. You know, I don't know if you remember, but oil prices went crazy for many years. Shipping rates quadrupled. So while COVID started to ease, then we had this entire global shipping crisis where, like, you know, we were literally paying 4 times the rate for a full container load. So navigating that has been quite complex. But I think all of this, in hindsight now, I feel it gives you some sort of scars that help you deal with the next situation. So I think this year, obviously, tariffs has been challenging. starting April, we've had, I would say, uncertain.
August tak you can take some
Hopefully,
deep breaths.
let's see. I think it's the uncertainty. What is the rate going to be? How do you think through your production, your pricing, your costs? So that's been something to navigate. And I think again it's getting better, but it does feel that every year there has been some global macro element that's impacted the business, but we've been able to navigate it.
Or is samay mein, was there like someone like a wise person as an investor, as a fellow founder that you leaned on, and maybe some advice that you got from them that you want to pass along?
A lot. I would not say sirf ye samay. I think throughout the journey, it's been now 2016 I quit and started, so it's almost 8-9 years. We definitely would not be where we are without like a lot of people's support and contributions outside the team. And obviously the team gets full credit in terms of the whole team, but we've had some great advisors and investors along the way. I think one category of investors we've had is a lot of people who are entrepreneurs themselves and have built their own businesses and are running their family office, or investors in that nature. One thing that they helped us is that they've gone through maybe not the same situation, but similar sorts of situations in different I would say perspectives or different phases. And I think a lot of the advice they gave was very helpful on how to navigate, right? What are the most important things to focus on during so much uncertainty, and what are those 2-3 things we should focus on. On the flip side, I also think our financial investors, we have Sequoia and Sofina, Peak 15 and Sofina. They've been extremely patient. Sometimes you read a lot about financial investors and their it seems like the news makes it sound like they want returns, but we found them that whenever there's been like say a challenging time, quarter, month, maybe even year, we found them to be very patient. And again, if we were able to articulate कि भाई देखो ये situation है, ये controllable है, ये uncontrollable है, this is what our plan of action is, and we will do this, and you engage with that mindset कि भाई now you tell me, do you agree with this plan, you don't agree, then we can incorporate your feedback. And I think we've had a very, very good relationship, and I think them not panicking in itself is like more than even giving guidance and wisdom. When your stakeholders and your shareholders and your investors are also calm and things are anyway, as a sort of founder, you're dealing with so much chaos, it really helps, right? Because it doesn't add that added pressure. And I think that was good. Also, in all these stuff, I think one of our investors once gave me great advice, and he said that like all of this जो भी situation जो चल रहा है, like whatever the problem may be, it's all short term. So focus on all the things that matter long term. So for example, there should be no impact on your product experience or your brand experience. Focus on your team. Make sure that you're doing right by them. Focus on all the stakeholder relationships that you have. Just because there is like some adverse situation, don't like turn on your vendor or or your customer and whatever, what I mean. So like that advice was all very great, that while it seems like there's a lot going on, that if you focus on the truly long term things that matter, and you just focus on getting through that situation, it typically works out.
So I think हम आधा घंटा almost हो चुका है इस podcast में. So पहले थोड़ा धंधा समझते हैं कि कितना geographic spread है, hero products क्या है, क्या कहाँ बिक रहा है, ये थोड़ा समझते हैं.
ठीक है. So I think very simple. Last year, fiscal year, we did I think about 500 crores, full year. Year not run rate or anything. This is full fiscal April to March. And this year, obviously, we're going to be substantially larger than that. The consolidated revenue is split between 3 major geographies. US is our biggest market. It's about maybe 70% of value of the overall business, but maybe 55% of volumes.
Okay.
Because pricing is a little more expensive. India is our second largest. It's about 12 to 15% in revenue and maybe double that in terms of volume share, so 25 to 30% in volume. India is definitely our fastest growing market.
Got it.
So for example, like last year, 24 versus 23, we grew, I think 68% year over year. India grew at 100% plus.
Got it.
Even this year, in terms of our plan, India is our fastest growing market. So that's the second largest market. Third is, I would say, the UK, which is again in that 10 to 15 range. And then we have a few other geographies where focused on like Middle East, Australia, Europe, and so on. But these are the three major buckets. Today, the business is, from a volume perspective, because that's the right way to look at this, is that about 2/3 is online, 1/3 is offline.
Got it.
Right? So across these various markets, the split may be different in each market, but it's 2/3, 1/3. Online is your website, e-commerce platforms like Amazon and so on.
खुद का website versus other e-commerce platforms. What do you
It
see?
depends on the market.
Okay.
So for example, in markets like India, we see very comparative numbers. I would say the marketplaces overall, because there's so many are more, but the D2C business is very large and is like a meaningful percentage. India maybe also now you have quick commerce and also there's like a lot of, I would say, channels.
You're on Zepto, Blinkit,
Yeah,
वो सब कर लिया.
correct. So मतलब अभी काफी है. Like America में there's only one major marketplace.
Amazon.
Yeah, I mean the others are still growing. Like Walmart is growing now, TikTok hai, but it's one major player. They don't have quick commerce per se. And what we find is that the economics on D2C, because in the US, last mile logistics cost is much higher.
Okay.
As a percentage of revenue.
Okay.
It's not as much of a focus for us in those markets, but it's much more in markets like India.
ये थोड़ा simplify करो.
मतलब simple में like eventually like you have to take the product from a warehouse to someone's house.
बराबर.
So like in India it may cost, I mean this is ballpark, but like maybe 10 to 15% of my revenue of a D2C order it cost me for my last mile logistics.
Got it.
मतलब warehouse से किसी के घर I have to deliver the product. Whereas in the US that number could be 25%.
Okay.
Now there is a number of factors that drives that, but I think the largest underlying factor I think is labor cost. Right? And also density. There are two parts, right? So because of that, it's structurally not designed to make great margins unless your product has a natural recurring purchase or महंगा product है. Right? Which in our case, हमारी products are not very affordable products.
क्या होगा average value in the US?
I think India में, I would say, I'll say both. India, I think our lowest price point will be $299, maybe. I think we even have $199, but $299 I would say is probably the lowest. Up to maybe at the higher end, maybe I would say $999 is the realistic, but there may be one or two products that are.
Got it. So 300 से 1000.
Yeah, ballpark.
Ballpark.
In the US, I would say that same equivalent would be like $10 to $25.
Okay. Got it. So 800 to around 2500 rupees.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. But that's broadly the price point there. Obviously, there's more cost to take a product to America, right? मतलब मैं यहाँ पे बना रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे बेच रहा हूँ. I mean, if I have to take it there, I have to ship it there, and then there's last mile cost there and so on. So that's the broad split. In terms of our products, today Skillmatics has products in, I would say, 3 core verticals. We have learning aids that are like, very, very learning oriented products like our write and wipe activity mats that help kids learn how to build, motor skills, writing skills, or sort of these high contrast flashcards which help, infants like sort of build, basic visual skills because they can't see color at a very young age, so it's black and white. Then we have a games, I would say, division, which is things like our Guess and 10, where these are educational games. And then the third vertical, I would say right now is art and craft, where you have like products like our foil fun or this aqua puffs that is really doing well. It's a brand new product. That are more designed around creativity and so on. So these are like I would say the 3 major verticals. Obviously, we're adding more verticals as we speak on terms of the product category side. Like we're already in STEM a little bit, we're like getting into it in a more bigger way, and so like that. Similarly, you have to look at it from an age group perspective. पहले हमारा focus was more on 3 to 6 year old children as the core age group.
Got it.
Today,
age group decide कैसे किया starting में कि कहाँ play करना?
I think we started with 3 to 6 because I think two major reasons. एक तो we realized that 3 to 6 is where the problem of screen time is very high for the parent. Two, the child is not yet in full school. So there's a lot of time that the child has at home.
मतलब घर पे भी कुछ होमवर्क वगैरह नहीं है.
Correct, कुछ नहीं है ना 3 साल 4 साल में, and like very minimal. And also the child has developed sufficiently in terms of basic skills that you can create differentiated products.
Got it.
See, in 0 to 3, 0 to 2, the child is very young. So there, of course, there are several products that we have for that age group. But initially, we wanted to create a very differentiated set of products, right? And that could happen when the child is also a little older and therefore is able to engage in more meaningful ways with products.
Got it. पर ये conscious call right at the start लिया?
Yeah.
अच्छा.
But over time we've expanded. So today I would say that 12 months to 12 years, we have products across the board.
Got it.
So that's the split. And then we have, I would say to your question, ki bhai hero product lines kya hai? Look, we have several core hero lines. I mean many now. I would not say it's just one. Maybe 20 really good selling product lines across age groups and segments. I think our Guess and 10 game is very well known globally. We've sold.
You were showing me this before. It's amazing. Love the idea.
Very simple game. Very great way to build problem solving skills and learn about a particular topic. I think that is done very well in the games. I think our Write and Wipe Match was the first product we ever made. As a writing aid has done very well, and even 8 years later it's still doing extremely well for us. And in the art and craft segment, our foil fun has been a huge success globally. In fact, out of these products that I mentioned, both Guess and 10 and foil fun have hit the #1 rank on Amazon USA in all toys and games.
Oh.
Not in one subcategory or whatever. So for the period that they were #1, they were the #1 selling toy in the United States on Amazon.
Amazing.
Right?
I mean, that's the place to be. It's not like some random e-commerce place. मतलब Amazon.
25% of the market.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, the fact that that's why when I say that, when we've done well and we've sold in America, but the real thrill of being able to say that made in India, designed in India can be the best in the world. Yeah. Right? Not just do revenues, but be the best. Yeah. Is I think what we've proven multiple times now with our products. I think so that's how it's split. The business has obviously grown quite well. As I mentioned, in 2018-19 we were like 5 crores. Last fiscal we was at 500, so it's grown 100x in 5 years. Profitable. Yeah.
And how are you seeing competition, right? Going back, एक तो आपका जो हीरो मार्केट है वो यहाँ से 10,000 किलोमीटर दूर कहीं है, right? तो you have to understand the taste and preference. The one that you mentioned was कि चलो बच्चे homogeneous हैं in that age category, which is great. But obviously the whole world is trying to sell to the US.
Totally
right?
agree.
So how are you competing with other countries?
No, great question. Look, I think one thing I've realized actually whether you're selling a brand or like you're sort of selling products in America or UK or India, the reality is everything is competitive. Bada market hai to be competitive hai, chota market mein, there's no escaping competition. As long as it's a free market and it's truly capitalistic, matlab competition to aane hi wala hai. I think what we focus on is not so much like what is competition doing, but what is our right to win. Right? And focus more on those aspects. And really invest in those pieces. So,
और आपका right to win आपने कैसे define किया?
I'm saying what have we decided? Right? I think we've invested heavily in a product design and development team. So I would say 30-35% of this 300 people that we have are just product. I don't think there is a company in India that has this kind of product design and development.
सारे यहाँ बैठते हैं?
Yeah, in fact, this pura floor is only product design.
I would love to sort of go around and take a look.
Yeah, so we have like, this is literally like 2 floors in this building. One full floor is only product design and development. So that was one very early area of focus that we realized look, if you are a truly innovative company that can keep bringing out and have a muscle to innovate, you will always be the leader in this industry. If your mindset is that of like copying and all of that, which, that is not a long-term enduring business. So we were very clear कि भाई वहाँ पे invest करना चाहिए, right? The second thing is how do you take advantage of India's advantages, right? If I'm competing globally, if I make more content-centric products, India has an advantage because of English versus say China. Like if I'm competing with say a Chinese company, right? They don't study in English. They don't have that base of English teachers. They're not native. I mean, I think in India, at least in most people have, like if you studied in non-public school, like everyone has grown up with an English curriculum, right? So people think in English also now. So I think that was an area where we like, okay, if we make content-based products, then usme English aa gaya, and then therefore you're able to compete more effectively with say people from other countries. And because we knew that our manufacturing in India is not as good as China, right? So how do you find an advantage? So that was one.
तो प्रोडक्ट भले 10% ज़्यादा महंगा हो पर उसकी वैल्यू इतनी हो कि आदमी 20% एक्स्ट्रा दे दे.
करेक्ट. एंड एक्चुअली इसमें अगर कंटेंट बेस्ड प्रोडक्ट है जैसे ये एसेंट है ना, इट्स आईपी प्रोटेक्टेड. So then it's not a commodity anymore.
And how are you making sure, because China has a legacy of copying stuff?
You can't copy. It's all trademarked and copyrighted. So you can't create like a rip-off of this. It's illegal. Like,
or at least you can't sell it in the reputed places.
Yeah, sure. You can sell it maybe in some random country, but like the reality is in America, all of this is super protected by IP laws, right? You don't have copies of Uno or Monopoly and all in America. Even in India, you really don't unless it's certain market segments. But most organized market segments will not tolerate this. Like no organized retailer or organized online, offline will sell counterfeits.
Yeah.
So I think that was one big advantage. Whereas had we started with just say plain plastic toy, then it's a question of who can give a better price, right? And so it becomes a cost-based competitive advantage where already we knew India is behind China, at least back then. So that was one area, like we out innovate and use that as a way to strengthen. The third thing is we started as a digital first, technology first company in our thinking, and so a lot of the things we've done, integrated technology into several parts of our business. Obviously the most obvious one is in digital marketing and being able to like build very strong capabilities on that dimension. Now compare that with traditional incumbents who are maybe historically jo offline first hai, that's an advantage. But we've also gone one step further and we've integrated a lot of technology on our supply chain very, very early on. We built an entire operating model that allows us to go from design to development in 3 months, which has been a lot of innovation on the supply chain side. Which allows us to rapidly test products and then find out the ones that work and then really meaningfully grow those. So these were some of the things that we have really invested behind to kind of differentiate ourselves and have a right to win. Coming to the question more about like how to I think if you focus on these things, then it's less important what competition is doing, because these are all very first principles based sort of capabilities, and they're all new age capabilities. So I think that is kind of where our focus has been. That being said, of course, we always are looking at what is in the market, what are new trends, and getting inspired like by like either great innovation and like I think that kind of stuff.
Got it. The other thing, which is the meat and potato of an export business, is the actual process of exporting, right? फैक्ट्री में यहाँ बना लिया, वहाँ शेल्फ पे जाना है, बीच में 1000 booby traps है. How do you navigate all of them? How did you learn it as well?
It's still learning, but it is. I think two things. एक तो पहले तो we learned through a lot of mistakes. I think that's the honest truth. When you go through the first shipment, you go through everything.
What do you remember your first shipment? कितना बड़ा था, क्या था?
बहुत छोटा था. I mean, there's a few cartons. So it was that time you can either do FCL or LCL. LCL is less than container load. So we were not even less than, we were like nothing. We were like 2% of the container. But that's how you start. You build networks of forwarders. I mean, it's as you mentioned, there's many steps from a factory to an end consumer outside India. But
so पहला shipment भेजा किसे?
नहीं, हमने ही किया था. Like we basically had it in our warehouse. From our warehouse, we got it into a container and sent it into an Amazon warehouse directly.
Okay, so this was for the Amazon.
Yeah, initially.
Okay.
And then, but over time, we've now built our own infrastructure completely. It's been a journey. Like I would say that there are a lot of steps. I think if I had to advise someone who's starting today is, getting good advisors is probably the smartest thing one can do. And what I mean by good advisors is like get a good forwarder, get a trusted forwarder, do reference checks on that forwarder, get a good clearing agent, get a good, so there are all these stakeholders that, help. And I think even if you have to pay a little bit more, but if you get a trusted person, I think that has been my biggest lesson, because at least early on we were always like, okay, what is the cheapest option? And I think that the cheapest option has always been the most expensive option. So I feel that that's one of the big learnings.
You pay for quality.
You pay for quality of whether you buy a game or you buy a service, you will eventually, there is a reason a price in a free market exists, right? Eventually the price is warranted, and I feel that if we had done earlier, so it would have been much better.
Got it. And so now looking back, right, you've built a 500 crore business which is only growing. If a new entrepreneur was to come to you and say कि मुझे खुद का कुछ करना है, right? What would be your advice to this person be? कि कहाँ से शुरू करे, क्या देखना शुरू करे, किससे बात करे?
I think it's very difficult to answer that, because it depends so much on that person's worldview. Ki like what has that person seen? What are their what are they seeing as the opportunity?
Or if you were to advise yourself, maybe whatever Dhvanil of 2016 को advise करना है.
No, I would probably give myself the same advice, because I was passionate about consumer, right? But I feel that if I had to give a simple answer, I would say then more than what space you're in, what you're passionate about, all these things are obviously important. I would focus a lot on what is changing in the world, and how is your business part of something that is new, either new consumer behavior or a new market or a new anything. Because see, when you're a startup, you're highly likely to fail, and if you are going to be the nth player in an established industry, like what is really your right to win? Because all these incumbents are there, right? And they've been. If you're going to do the same thing like them, you're not going to be meaningfully successful in a short period of time.
छोटा धंधा बना लोगे, पर
it's
बड़ा
difficult,
कुछ
because they've also created barriers over years, right? But if you are in that same industry, something is changing, and you're able to then come and approach the same thing in a different way, with a different proposition or a different go-to market or a new technology. And this is true for anything, like that I think is the best opportunity, because you will have the tailwinds of a rapidly growing change in markets or consumer preferences, and you will ride that tailwind, and your existing incumbents will not be able to adapt as quickly, because they've hardwired their whole large organizations to a particular way of working, which is why startups succeed in the first place, right? Otherwise you would never have only startups succeeding, right? And typically I feel that this is a common thread that you will find in almost all new companies, is they've either gone out there, created a new market, or rode on a new change in consumer behavior, whether that's buying online or buying something else. And so I would think deeply about like what your idea is, and how are you taking advantage of what is changing, and how is what you are doing new. Even if you're coming into an existing large industry, like what is different,
Got it.
right, about your business.
Got it. Like आप toys कर रहे थे, and the different was the STEM sort of angle.
I think two things, right? One was the business model was one that did not exist. Global D2C.
Global D2C.
Right? Like building structural design advantages in India, selling globally using digital platforms. The whole business model did not exist only. 10 years ago, you could not even do this. Right? So I think the business model was brand new. No one was doing it at the time. Forget in toys, hardly any categories. And the second part was the differentiation in the proposition itself. That bringing a learn through play brand which can help parents keep kids engaged off screens was something that was maybe not even required 50 years ago, when there weren't screens or when everything was offline.
Yeah.
And you had to only sell to the child.
Yeah.
Right? So these things had changed, and hence this brand and differentiation was relevant.
Got it.
So I think these two things, the proposition itself and the entire business model,
Got it.
were very, very new.
Got it. If you were to sort of advise a first time founder कि ये तो बिल्कुल भी मत करना, Huh? What would that be?
It's very clear that don't associate with people like who are not a fit to your, who have a misaligned way of thinking or have a very different worldview than you. And I think compromising on those elements will always bite you.
Which example though?
Like for example, like you may have the opportunity to get money from an investor who has a different horizon than you. You may want to build your business in a particular way, they may want you to build a business in a different way. I think having alignment there is very important. Otherwise, it's a recipe for disaster down the road. Similarly, when you build your core team, right, if they don't have the same drive and ambition for what the vision you all have collectively set, it'll always backfire. So I think that whether it's your investors, it's your team, try and associate with like-minded people, not necessarily like-minded having the same background or something, but having the same value system. And it's not like one, I'm not saying obviously negative throws out of the question, but sometimes you can have different paths to achieving a similar goal. And I think that, that is very important because that's what in a tough time really makes a difference. And also, it does not create like issues later, right? If you're very clear on how you all want to go ahead. So I think that is, and at least I think my larger point is that, at least for me, I found that people problems tend to weigh me down the most in the past than a business problem. Now that's just maybe my personality. So that would be my advice. That
सही लोगों के साथ काम करो.
सही लोगों के साथ, no stress, no drama, good people, long-term oriented people. I think that is, it just makes the journey more fun, more enjoyable. And again, less stress, less people, interpersonal stress.
Got it. And if you were to sort of look to the next 3 to 5 years of Skillmatics, right? What does that look like?
I think more on the same path that we are, right? We should hopefully deepen our presence globally, more geographies across online and offline channels. Literally the world is our oyster, so how do we, in the markets that we're in, वहाँ पे ही there's so much opportunity left. So really deepening our presence from a distribution perspective and from a brand awareness perspective is probably the number one priority. So hopefully 3-5 years down we've done that successfully, which will automatically then translate into more meaningful revenues and profits. The second thing is I would really want India to grow even further. I think they're seeing a lot of traction in India, a lot of tailwinds domestically. So how can we make the India business even greater share of the overall pie? And I think here, being one of the largest global brands from India, possibly the largest in this industry, how can we help meaningfully grow the toy industry in India? So I think that is a big, I would say, focus for us.
India में toy industry grow करने के लिए क्या लगेगा?
Several things, right? I think across the value chain. I think एक तो, you go to the back end, you need to ensure that supply chain is strengthened. So I think that's it's come a long way. The government had announced in the last budget about a toy scheme, which I believe is impending. I believe that will stimulate a lot more investment in capabilities on the manufacturing side. That is one very important thing. I think the BIS norms have helped a lot. They've helped regulate, unsafe imports from China and other countries. So I think there is a lot of steps in the right direction. But I think that part is very important. Two, I think greater availability of skilled talent at all levels, like whether it's design capabilities. Today we have NID which has a toy and masters in toy and game design. We need more programs, we need more design schools, we need more design thinking in this country. And I think that as more institutions start to offer such programs, more talent will be brought into the sector, which will then drive innovation, right? Because as I said, in this industry, it's not just about manufacturing, it's also about the design and innovation part of it. I think that is important. Again, as companies like us, others get larger, you're able to offer more competitive pay, and then it becomes the industry grows. The third I would say is also more consumer awareness, growth in consumer demand. वो frankly naturally हो रहा है. Like I think India's this category is not even fully created in India yet. I think today when you think of toy and games, it's very unstructured. It's like plastic bat, ball. This is still a fragmented, unbranded, unstructured market. I think all of this is changing. More formal players, whether it's retailers, brands, all of that will sort of elevate the offerings for the consumer and I think drive growth. तो ये सब हो रहा है ऐसा कुछ. It's not like we are not making meaningful progress. So I just think I actually am very bullish कि all of this will happen, which is why to your original question, I'm very very bullish कि in the next 3-5 years India will be a very large part of our overall business.
And you alluded to the toy policy. Do you have a wish list of things that should sort of maybe incentives को side में रखते हैं, but structural things that you
No,
want to see change?
I think the government is doing a great job of listening to stakeholders across the board. And is really trying to get a diverse set of views and then formulate something that will address multiple structural issues. Because it's not एक ही चीज़ नहीं है ना. It's not like कि भाई just give incentive and हो जाएगा. You have to basically solve multiple parts of the problem.
Raw material availability solve करनी है.
There's many parts, right? It's not as simple as कि भाई you just give me an incentive. Right? That is really not going to structurally solve something. I think as long as the scheme does that and addresses structural things, which I'm actually confident it will do, I think that will be very needle moving for India.
Got it. Perfect. We've spoken a lot about these toys and games.
You want to play one?
Let's play one. First of all, tell me ये है क्या? मतलब what are these?
This is one of our. This may not be as exciting for you, but this is foil fun. This is art and craft activity.
Oh, nice. I went to like hundreds of these craft classes as a child. So
the way this works is that you have. One second, let's just take this one out.
And this is for the age group is 4 to 9 years.
4 to 9, yeah.
For young kids.
Young kids, yeah. So so this is an animal theme, right? So you basically have these animal characters and other decorative elements. You put this here. I think the camera should see this. So what is really cool is, so this is, let me just pull this out. Just pulling this out. And then you have these foils. So you just take any one. Now what happens is you can put why don't you put the foil on it?
So बस ऊपर से लगा.
Rub it.
Okay.
अभी peel करो.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like
It's transferred. Yeah.
Very interesting.
And so that's what it looks like now. And so like when you do it in a better way, like this is kind of what it looks like.
Nice.
So the whole idea is that you can create these beautiful decorative.
I mean the wow was for like how seamless it was.
Exactly.
मतलब बिल्कुल मेहनत नहीं लगी कुछ नहीं, and it's very good.
And so one of the things we've realized is कि भाई simple होना चाहिए. Right? There is no mess. Very easy to understand. Very easy. Now एक बार आपने ये किया है ना, you can go on and on and on, right? And the better you get, you can get more nuanced, right? You can make something as complicated as this. Like I am not as skilled, so I'll do something as simple as this. But so that is the main thing.
Themes में?
काफी theme है. So we started with foil fun. We have a unicorn theme, animal theme, space theme. Many. We have a Disney theme. The whole idea is to basically create a wide range of topics, passion topics that kids like, and then they can go, go on and on, right? It's quite.
और ये in-house मतलब ये इंडिया में manufacture हो रहा है सारा?
Yeah, we designed all of this here, and everything.
And this is so nice. Like this is one of those frameable things also, right?
Yeah.
Like as a parent, I can imagine like putting this in a frame. As your child's thing.
And then, and so this has been one of our most successful art and craft lines, and has grown quite significantly. The other one I was keep talking about was Guess in 10.
Yes.
So this is a game that the whole idea behind this was that when you're traveling, and we started to think about ki bhai, like 6-year-old plus, like kids love games about trivia and guessing, right? So the whole idea is that how do you create a game where it's in that guessing trivia based theme which kids like, but you're also focusing it on an educational topic. So for example, this is guessing 10 cities, so you learn all about cities. Now the way it works is इसमें 50 card है. What you do is like I will pick a card, so let's play. Okay, I will pick a card.
Oh, so it fits like this.
It fits like this, yeah. So design the packaging like this.
Very nice.
Yeah. So you pick a card. Like I'm just going to pick a card, okay? Now the card has 2 buzzwords.
Okay.
It's a starting point. So the buzzwords are here is Asia and skyscrapers.
Okay.
So you have a sense of where the city is and what kind of some idea you have.
Okay.
Now you can ask me 10 yes or no questions to try and narrow down कि कौन सा city होगा.
Is it Singapore?
Yeah.
Oh, Asia skyscrapers.
Yeah.
I got the easy one.
Yeah. So
One second.
So I'll take this one.
हाँ, but तुम्हें तो दिख रहा है already. Let me pick one for you.
Okay, come.
हाँ, I'll pick one for you. Let the founder be tested.
No pressure.
No pressure. Okay. So there are clues here. Oh, the buzzwords I need to tell you. Okay, so buzzwords are pizza, Europe, gondolas.
You'll give me 2, but that's fine. Pizza, gondolas. You said pizza, Europe. Does this country have is this country known to play football?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Not the biggest football country,
Somewhat.
but yes.
Somewhat.
I mean, I'm sure the football guys may disagree, but sure.
Is it a very popular tourist destination?
Yes.
Okay. Is it the home of pizza? Was pizza invented here?
Not here, but close by.
अच्छा city है ना?
City
हाँ,
है, city है.
Close by. Oh shit. Is there water in the city?
Yes.
Venice.
Ah, perfect.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I was just about to say the Dharavi of
But so like that's the gameplay, right? So
and so you go across like
you can just go
cities.
on and on. You can play one-on-one. You can play in 2 teams. You can play as a family.
Amazing.
The whole idea is that as you play, you learn more about a particular topic. So this is cities. Then there is like space. There is animals.
Amazing.
And again, I think what you will see across all our products is they're very simple, right? But the difficulty is actually designing simple, fun, engaging products, which are like easy to learn, easy to play, and at the same time are educational.
Yeah, I can imagine sitting with a few friends and just going on and on. You need a slightly adult version of this.
Yeah.
I would love to like take this out on a evening with friends and have this is 20 questions but for kids.
Correct, basically.
Perfect, amazing. And can we just go and see your
offices?
offices?
Let's go. This floor is exclusively for design and development. All our creative teams sit here. We have about 120 people on this floor. Obviously, there are different functions. So broadly, I would say there are 3 major buckets. Okay. So one is our content team. Okay. Basically, these are people who are child psychologists, who have studied a master's in early childhood education, teachers. Okay. And their main role is ensuring that all our products are age appropriate, learning outcome appropriate. The second is basically I would say a design team. Okay. So these are a combination of industrial designers, graphic designers, game designers, people who really studied design as a discipline. And then the last is our development team. So think of these as like जो मतलब hardware लोग हैं. Like they'll be like when we want to come up with an idea or there is a creative thought, like what are the materials one uses, what are the physical touch and feel, quality control, specifications. So that's like the third, I would say, broad bucket. And the team is, I would say, spread between each of these 3 verticals. Got it. So for example, like here, like this is like one of our star designers, Clarice. So for example, like these are like live examples of prototypes. Yeah. That is a product that is being developed. And as you can see, it's like very like in a very rough stage right now, right? And so
This is like an extreme V1 of it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
very,
how do you
very
take this and convert that into a product? Like,
I mean, so that's a very long journey, but like at the same time, like, you know, what she's doing there is actually like graphically
design a layer on this, which will now print on this.
yeah.
Okay.
So that is like, you know, and that is something like the industrial design team has been working on.
And do these guys also sit here?
Yeah, everyone here.
Okay, everyone is.
Yeah, everyone here. And we in fact have machines that allow us to build prototypes, everything in the office itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like this is like how, like, you know, our design teams work.
So ये physical एक ही हो गया, फिर उसके ऊपर आपने एक design layer लगा
Correct,
दिया.
correct.
And then the like V1 sort of sample
Correct.
भी यहीं बन जाता है.
Yeah, so prototypes we make here, and then eventually we'll obviously work with, you know, schools and parents to like test them with kids, get feedback, and then basically roll out commercial product production.
Interesting. And of this sort of part, right? What's the one part that you enjoy the most?
So honestly, I'm not the creative guy here. My co-founder Devanshu is actually unwell today.
Okay.
But she drives the entire product design and development. She drives most of the product design and development at Skillmatics. So
Got it.
I think the part that I enjoy most is playing the games and enjoying all the activities.
Playing with your son.
Yeah, and then taking it home and then having my son get excited by all the toys that I'm getting him.
I envy your son at this point. He's getting all the best toys in terms of STEM that the world has to offer. Perfect. No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Really enjoyed it.
I hope this
Hopefully
comes
it's
out
helpful.
well. I hope so. I hope so.
For more exciting and interesting journeys, please like, share and subscribe to Borderless Business. It's been great being here.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.